Good afternoon, I'm Sean Yao, and this is One News Now. The Senate Committee on Public Order has started its probe into the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo. Let's get an update from Mayan Los Baños, who's joining us on the phone from Pasay. Mayan, hi, what's the latest from the Senate?
Hi, Sean. Good afternoon. The Senate Committee on Public Order led by its Chairman, Senator Bato de la Rosa, ruled this morning not to allow Congressman Arnolfo Teves to attend the Senate hearing virtually. Recall that Teves is the alleged mastermind in the killing of Negros Oriental Governor Roel Degamo. Senator de la Rosa said there was a unanimous agreement among committee members not to allow Teves to testify online since there might be some legal issues which can later on be questioned. The Senate is observing a rule, Sean, that resource persons who will testify online should take an oath inside the Philippine Embassy where he is currently residing. This is to make sure that the Senate has jurisdiction over the person, especially when there is a need to cite him or her in contempt and file subpoena against the person. However, Senator de la Rosa said they are welcoming Teves to come and testify in the hearing physically. He even invited the Solon to come to Senate after the DOJ confirmed that there is still no warrant of arrest against him. Bato assured Teves of his safety. Even the ILG Secretary Benhur Abalos said he will make sure no harm will be done to Teves once he comes home. Senator Bato said during Senate hearing that Teves called him yesterday to explain that he cannot attend the hearing physically because of threats to his life. This even after Bato assured him of his safety, especially inside Senate premises. Senators Rita Ontiveros and Bong Revilla also appealed to Teves to come home and face the cases against him. In the hearing, the DILG reported that 11 suspects in the Degamo killing have already been arrested. The AFP said 9 of the suspects were ex-members and officers of the military. DOJ Secretary Boying Rimulya meanwhile told the Senate about their goal to ask the Anti-Terror Council to designate Teves as a terrorist. He explained that this is because the activities that led to killing of Degamo are covered under anti-terror law, like the purchase of firearms, and everything that transpired before and during the assassination had hallmarks of terrorism in it. Sean, aside from representatives from AFP, PNP, and NBI, the wife of Governor Degamo, Pamplona Mayor Janice Degamo, is now present physically in the Senate hearing. And as we speak, the upper chamber's inquiry into the Degamo Slay case is ongoing. Back to you, Sean.
All right, thank you so much for keeping us posted on that update. Mayan Los Baños reporting to us live from the Senate. In other news, former Corrections Chief Gerald Bantag and his Deputy Security Officer Ricardo Zulueta are now fugitives. Authorities said the duo was tracked down somewhere in the Cordillera Administrative Region as the massive manhunt operation against them continues. Recall that arrest warrants have been issued against Bantag and Zulueta for their alleged involvement in the murders of radio broadcaster Percy Lapid and Bilibid inmate June Villamor. In other news, the Chinese embassy says that Ambassador Huang Xilian's recent remarks have been taken out of context. In a statement on Facebook, the Chinese embassy said that while it appreciates the extensive coverage of the diplomat's speech, parts of Huang's speech were misinterpreted. Huang earlier advised the Philippines against recognizing Taiwan's independence if it does not want Filipinos in Taipei to be affected by the conflict.
Some try to find excuse for the new EDCA sites by citing the safety of the 150,000 Filipino overseas foreign workers in Taiwan. The Philippines is advised to unequivocally oppose Taiwan independence rather than stoking the fire by offering the U.S. access to the military bases near the Taiwan Strait if you care about the 150,000 overseas foreign workers.
The Chinese ambassador also claimed that the United States is taking advantage of additional EDCA sites to interfere in the conflict between China and Taiwan.
Provocative actions of bringing in external forces will not help but further complicate the situation and cause more problems and putting regional peace and stability at risk. We should learn from history and avoid repeating mistakes.
And in reaction to Huang's remarks, the National Security Council maintains that the Philippines is not meddling with China and Taiwan's conflict. NSC spokesperson Jonathan Malaya says that the Philippines is primarily concerned with improving its defense capabilities and infrastructure. Malaya notes that this is the main reason why the country is increasing its security cooperation with the United States. And for its part, the Defense Department took exception to the Chinese ambassador's statement, noting that disputes should be resolved peacefully. The DND reiterates that Manila adheres to the One China policy and that it will assume the ASEAN principle of non-interference when approaching regional issues. Meantime, Senator Risa Ontiveros called on the palace to urge Beijing to recall Huang over his, quote, disgraceful statements. The senator stressed that issues on Taiwan's independence is exclusively for the Taiwanese government to tackle. And for Migrante International, it seems like China is holding OFWs in Taiwan hostage. The group added that Beijing should stop its aggressive actions against the Philippines if it wants American troops out of the country. We're going to pause for a quick break, but One News Now will be back with more stories after that. Keep it here. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Sean Yao. Heads up to all taxpayers, you only have a few hours left to file your annual income tax returns or ITRs. It is the last day of filing for ITRs, but the Bureau of Internal Revenue noted surprisingly short lines over at BIR regional offices. The BIR attributes the absence of the last-minute rush to its campaign to allow the filing of tax returns online. The Bureau adds that there are only 4% of the 4.65 million taxpayers in the country that have yet to file their ITRs. Meantime, the BIR is confident of meeting its target tax collection for the year, worth some 2.6 trillion pesos.
Sa nakikita natin ngayon, mukhang kakaunti ang mga nandito ngayon. Kaya magandang senyales po yan dahil ibig sabihin yan, mukhang gumana naman po at marami yung ating tax campaign dahil ang deadline naman natin ay on or before April 17, ano. So hindi kinakailangan hintayin ang araw na to. So hopefully lahat naman sila nakapag-file at nakapagbayad na bago ngayong Lunes, at saka isa pang indikasyon na maganda yan ay dahil up and running naman ang ating online system, kaya po kaya nilang magawa ito through online.
And here is a quick look at today's other top stories. The Land Transportation Office scraps the periodic medical exam requirement for driver's license holders. These include holders with 5 and 10-year license validity. With this amendment, drivers will only need to undergo one mandatory medical exam upon renewal of their licenses. And one group has called out the Land Transportation Office for setting aside priority lanes for members of the LGBTQIA+ community. Bahaghari's Reyna Valmores said, while they appreciate the LTO's initiative to include the community, priority lanes in government agencies should be given to more vulnerable individuals like the elderly and those with disabilities. And the Prime Minister of the Czech Republic has arrived in the Philippines for a 3-day official visit. Czech PM Petr Fiala and President Bongbong Marcos are expected to discuss bilateral relations between the two countries. Last year, the two state leaders also met at the ASEAN and European Union summits, where they tackled defense cooperation and the AFP modernization program. One News Now will be back at 3 p.m. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.